Hello, everybody. It is Mrs. Hawley, and today we are going to look at contextualization. It's a weird word, I know, but this is something you have to be able to do on your Regents exam. So by the time we're done, hopefully you'll understand the concept of contextualization and you'll be able to understand the task of identifying historical and geographic context of sources. All right, so we have a bell ringer. You can't type on this, but it would be a good idea to write down somewhere. So think about an important event in your life. What led up to the event? Why did it happen? Where did it happen? What was the result of that event? So take a second. You can stop the video. Just write down some ideas and then press start when you are ready. All right, so hopefully you came up with a good event. I am trying to think of an event in my life. What was an exciting event? Well, getting married in Jamaica was an exciting event. What led up to it? We went there before and we loved it. It was fantastic. It was beautiful. We played games. We swam. It was awesome and we wanted to go back. So that explains what led up to it and why it happened. Why it happened, because I found out that if you stay there for 9 days, your wedding's free. So that's the why. And we did want to get married. The where, Jamaica, and what was the result? We lived happily ever after. Okay. So what I just did was I provided context to that important event. Let's look at this a little more. So what is contextualization? And it says contextualization is the act of locating the document in time and place. That sounds a lot more complicated than it really is. What that means is you answer these 4 questions. All right. When was the document created? Where was the document created? What was going on before, during, and after the document was created? And what else was going on in whether you're talking about a country or a state or the world at a particular time? That's all that means. You are able to understand really the origin of the document by answering these 4 questions. Okay? So let's do a little practice. You've got this scenario on page 18, and it says you're going to read the principal's statement about a lunchroom fight between Justin and Max. And it says you have to identify where the principal answered the 4 contextualization questions above. So we're going to answer those 4 questions. All right, so what I'd like you to do is press stop. I want you to read through the document and answer those 4 contextualization questions. All right, so press stop and press start when you're ready to review. All right, my friends, we are back. All right, let's give some context to this document. All right, so according to the principal's explanation, we want to know, when did the fight happen? Okay, when did the fight happen? Well, we know that the fight happened during lunch. Okay, so we've put his statement into context. This event, this historical event, happened during lunch. Okay. Number 2, where did it happen? Now, you could say school, or you could be more specific I was more specific. I said the fight happened in the cafeteria because that was the location of the actual fight. Right? So number 3, what led up to the fight? So what led up to it? Well, Max and his friends had been bullying Justin ever since Max's parents lost their jobs. So they were really mad at Justin. So that's what led up to it, were all these acts of bullying. Okay, then our last question, why did it happen when and where it did? Why did it happen when and where it did? Don't ask me why I did the slides this way. All right, I said it happened because Max was mad at Justin, because Justin's father was the manager at the factory who let his parents go. Okay, they lost their jobs. So that's why it happened, where and when it did. Okay, so we've sort of figured out the context of this document. Now, on the Regents exam, you need to be able to explain the historical or geographic circumstances behind an event or action or anything. Now, they're different. Historical context and geographic context are two very different things. If the question is asking you the historical context, you need to look at these questions. When did it happen? What time period was it? What were the characteristics of that time period? What led up to the event? Who was involved in the event? What were these people like and why were they involved? That is all about the history behind the event. If they ask you the geographic context of an event, that should say where did it happen? So it's about geography. So where did the event happen? What geographic features were nearby and how did these features affect how it happened? What regions were nearby and what was the relationship between those regions? So geography is in this part, geographic context, while history, the history behind it, is in historical context. Okay? So what I'd like you to do now is think about what the difference is between geographic and historical context. You can write it down maybe on the bottom of your workbook on page 19. So stop the presentation and write an answer to this question. What's the difference between the geographic and the historical context? Press start when you're ready to review. Welcome back, my friends. I hope you're ready to review. What did you say? What's the difference between the geographic and historical context? I said the difference is that the geographic context deals with the location, the physical location of an event, okay, the geography, while historical context refers to the history, what was going on at that time, right before or during or after the event. So they are very different. All right. We are going to look now at the fight between Justin and Max, and we're going to identify which of the events are historical circumstances or context and which are geographic. So, actually, you know what? I want you to do this. So I want you to go to the bottom of page 19, and I want you to read the passage at the bottom. I want you to highlight in your workbook anything that is historical in green or blue, I'm sorry. Highlight anything you think is historical background in blue, and anything that you think is geographic in nature in green. Okay, because I thought green for plants. So I'll give you a bit of time. You're going to stop the presentation, read through the reading on the bottom of 19. You're going to highlight anything that's historical in blue and anything that is geographical or geographic in green. All right, so hit stop and get to work. Press start when you're done. All right, my friends. Hopefully you enjoyed the little presentation here. All right, so here's what I did. Instead of blue, because I'm the little rebel here, I used yellow for my historical context. So let's look at why I did what I did. So the first thing that I thought was historical is that the fight was caused by factors inside and outside of the school. Okay. I said the factory that employs a lot of people in the community has new management, that Justin's father is one of the new managers, that Max's parents were let go from their jobs last month, and that Max and his friends started bullying Justin, possibly as a result of Max's parents losing their jobs. I said Justin hasn't made any friends, so he has nobody to help him with the bullying. And that the fight broke out during lunch after Max insulted and shoved Justin, and Justin threw a punch. I said those are all historic in nature. They are facts. They answer those questions. When did it happen? What led up to it? Who was involved and why? All right. Now, for the geographic context, which is in green, I said the community has gone through major changes. Okay. The company, which is based in London, is not selling as many products in China, so that's why they had to lay off workers. That's geographic context. That deals with other countries, and that's why people lost their jobs. So that answered the where did it happen? Okay, it answered what geographically was going on because of this company based in London not selling products to China. That's the cause of the parents being laid off. So hopefully you understand now a little bit about the process of putting documents in context. And we will practice this several times throughout the year, so don't worry if it doesn't quite make sense yet. All right. I am glad you were with me today, and we will talk again soon. Have a good one.